This video is a little later than I was expecting it to be, but I think it's about time to actually go over the results of the cut that I started, 13, 14 weeks ago, I think. But now it's time to figure out what happened with it, how'd it go, how'd I feel during it, what were the results. So I'm going to be starting with the end results. Did it work? The short answer, yes. It did work. So I started week 1 at 132.5 pounds. At the end of 10 weeks, I ended up being 123.4 pounds. So in total, in the 10 weeks, I did lose 9.1 pounds. So that was about a pound a week. It was very weird throughout. It was like the first 2 weeks, I lost 2 pounds each, so 4 pounds in the first 2 weeks. And then the next 3, it was kind of like a little less than 1 pound, because I think at the halfway point I was like 5 pounds down. So it was definitely not consistent, like I lost 1 pound every week, but when you take the 9.1, take by the 10 pounds, it was a little less than 1 pound a week in total. For my measurements, because I did take my measurements, I was down 2.5 inches on my waist, 2 inches around my chest, 1 inch around my thighs, 1 inch around my bicep, 3/4 inch around my hips, and 1 3/4 inches down on my shoulders. So my actual measurements all went down. So definitely my body went down, my body weight went down, which is all good. And the other thing that I wish I could have measured but wasn't able to was my body fat percentage. What ended up happening, I don't have a body fat calculator at my house. I would go to my gym. They had the handheld ones, which are the ones that I found, at least, that were the same to the ones that I was using at my gym, are $200. And no, I'm not going to be spending that. Sorry. So unfortunately, for me to get an accurate result, or as accurate as I can, I would have had to have used the same device. I couldn't do that because it was at the gym was closed, and I'm not going to spend $200. So I don't actually know what my ending body fat percentage was. If I'm going to go with the same pattern that I did in the first 5 weeks, lost 2%. If I lost another 2%, because I did keep losing weight, then that most likely would have put me at about 16% body fat. So I'm comfortable saying that I was probably around 16 to 17% body fat at the end, just if I were to mimic what my results were for my halfway point. But unfortunately, I was not able to actually record that. So I did lose inches around all of my body parts, and I did lose weight, and I'm assuming I also lost body fat. So I can't actually confirm that, but I'm like 95% sure I lost more body fat. I at least lost 2% from my halfway point. But unfortunate, but you gotta work with what you're given. So those were my results at the end of my 10 weeks. So now, if that's all you cared about, you're good now. You can go have fun with your day. Do whatever you want. Go outside, see the sunshine. So we're gonna go over each of the different factors that ended up playing a role in the cut, like the water intake, how did that affect me, and my hunger, how did that affect me, and stuff like that. So I do want to start with hunger. For the most part, my hunger wasn't really an issue, and I was really surprised because my calorie deficit was, from my understanding, pretty high. It was over a 500 calorie deficit, so I was around 1900 and I dropped to about 1300 to 1400 range, I believe. So it was a little over the 500 calorie mark, so which is a pretty extreme. And I was expecting a lot more hunger, but I am assuming it is because of the water. I did up that to a gallon a day, and that probably played a huge role in keeping my stomach happy and full throughout the day. So just the food choices that I made, plus the water, hunger never really was an issue. There were definitely times where it flared up. Like I know on week 2, it was, I had like little twinges between breakfast and lunch. And then like week 4, towards the end of the week, end of the day, I started feeling hungry. It's not that like, oh my god, I need food. It never got that bad. It was definitely like, oh, I feel kind of hungry. Like I can eat. It was never anything crazy. I would just drink water, and then when it got to the point where I was drinking water and I still felt hungry, it's like, okay, now it's time to eat. And then I'd eat, and then I'd be fine. So that was actually really good. Hunger never really was an issue, which was really, really nice. The water helped, my food choices helped, so I was really glad to see that. Now with cravings. I didn't start getting cravings until about week 5 is when I started to actually get cravings. Like, I really, really want to eat something. I know the previous week, week 4, I necessarily didn't have cravings. Things just smelled. Like, I was just like realizing like, oh wow, that suddenly smells like really good. Yeah. But it's not that I was like, give it. Which was good. It wasn't until week 5 that I started getting those feelings. And I want to say that this was the week that craving was for like chili cheese dogs, and that's when I went to Skyline Chili, and then I was fine. I had no issues once I did that. And I think the cravings probably started towards the beginning of the week, not necessarily the end of the week. I was just really excited for when I got to have it, and I was able to stay that course and not cave early at all until Saturday, and then I ate it and then I was fine, which is great. Really proud of myself for that. But at the same time I was craving that. Like, I was definitely more tempted to break and eat other things that were outside of my meal prep. I didn't do it, but I was more tempted to. So it was definitely some of that going on week 5. But I made it through, which is what counts. I was halfway through my week 7. I started talking with my coach, and she started implementing changes for me. Originally, I wasn't planning on reaching out to a coach until my 12-week point. I had everything planned. Great, I had everything planned up to peak week, and I had my peak week planned, but I was gonna see if I could get a coach. I would get a coach, but not until I was 12 weeks out. On my week 7, I was probably 20 plus weeks out at that point. But she reached out to me. I was using her as a coach. It's not just like someone randomly reached out to me. I was like, okay, yeah, you can be my coach. She was the person I was intending to be my coach from when I started back last August. So she just reached out, and she knew that too. So she reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, we can start planning now. Like, I'm good to go. That's fine. So I think my week 8 was when I had to change. She lowered my carbs by a little less than half. So I was like at 130 carbs. She dropped it down to 70 carbs. So almost half of my carbs were gone. My week 8, I want to say it wasn't just from losing my carbs, but that's also when the gyms closed and when I started the at-home workouts. So I think it was just being home and working out. I just didn't feel like it was the same intensity, and it was just more laid back environment, and then also not having the carbs. I think just with that, it kind of gave me a more casual, like, laid back mindset, and I just really, like, it didn't feel like I was like training to compete or anything like that. And so it made me be like, well, why aren't you eating like these foods that you like? And I just wanted sweet things. I really, really wanted sweet things, because I think with that change, I was eating like a little Yasso bar at the end, which probably took care of my sweet craving, but I couldn't fit that in with how my carbs were reduced. And because I already had food, and I didn't want to like throw it out or waste it so I can get a whole new menu just so I can include something sweet. So I tried to play around with the foods that I already had, and just it eliminated anything like super sweet, like a dessert. And it wasn't because I was hungry. It was like, I just want to eat something sweet. That's it. That's all I want. And, you know, I didn't talk with her. It's like, if you need to eat something sweet, go ahead, eat one. Just eat something. Be smart about it. Because if that feeling continued the next day to the next day, the next day, that can lead to binging, and that's a lot worse than just eating the cookie or just eating the Yasso bar right then and there where you have the craving, control it, move on. But I was trying so hard because I didn't want to mess, like, to me, I didn't want to mess up the cut. I wanted it to be perfect, because I'm like, I need to prove to myself that I can do this without messing up, because every other cut I've done, I've messed up, and I don't want to keep messing up. Nah. So I think I didn't break. So I'm really proud of that. So like from my notes, it was just like I wanted to cheat so bad. You almost did it. If I was left alone, I probably would have. I remember I was in one of the offices where I work, and they have like a bowl of candy, and it's the Hershey Nuggets that I used to like binge on a year ago. And she was about to leave the room, like, oh, I'm gonna like swipe a couple of those. I'm like, I don't even care right now. Like, we're just quickly when she said, and then she didn't end up leaving the room, and I was like, oh, it's really awkward if I just stand here. Like, okay, I need to leave, and so I didn't. And I was like, at the end, I was like, oh, that was good, yes, you didn't break. If you were given the opportunity, you would, but it doesn't count. You're fine. So week 8, definitely from my notes and from what I can remember, just I really wanted to break. But that came on week 9. I did end up breaking. Horrible breakdown food-wise. No self-control. Nothing I said to myself stopped it. Didn't care. Don't know what the hell that was about. Yeah, so from what I remember on week 9, I can't remember exactly what I did, but that's how I felt. Like, I think I messed up 4 days. Like, 3 days I was fine. Like, I stuck with my meal prep, all that, and I never, like, my workouts never suffered. I always did my workouts. That was great. It was always food that was the issue, and which has always been the issue with me. Going to the gym's never been a problem. It's always been the food. But yeah, I broke down. I want to say it was either week 9 or week 10 that I got switched to a 0 carb diet for 2 days, and then I could have carbs the 3rd day, and then I'd have to go back to 2. And I just learned anyone who willingly chooses not to eat carbs is a psychopath and cannot be trusted. Now, obviously, if you can't eat carbs for a reason, medically or anything like that, that's one thing. You're not choosing not to. You have to. But if you are willingly choosing, like, yeah, I don't eat carbs, but I'm suspicious of people on keto now, because it's still low carb. How do you do it? How? But yeah, people willingly choosing not to eat carbs, you can't trust them. You can't trust that. No. I learned that about myself. But yeah, I can't remember that if that was week 9 or week 10, if that was a byproduct of me getting rid of all my carbs. I don't think it was. I think it was week 10. I think it might have just been built up from week 8, just wanting to go crazy and then not addressing it, and then it blew up in my face on week 9. I still lost weight though. I controlled it enough on those days. Like, I think it was like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. At least I know Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it was just bad. I don't know how bad. I don't think it was, when I say bad, I don't think it was that bad. But I want to say it was like the beginning of the week and then the ending of the week, I was just like, you're getting your shit together. What the hell was that? Not today! Which was, I'm really proud of myself for pulling me out, because usually when I do break like that, I just keep going. And I'm like, I'll get better. I'll get better. But there's no conviction behind it. And then I just basically at some point, not officially, just at some point, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing the cut anymore. It's like, that probably like happened 2 weeks ago, but yeah, I'm just not doing that anymore. So I was really proud that I was able to snap myself out eventually and just be like, no. But yeah, I think after that, my week 10, no cravings, I was good again. For the most part, other than whatever happened week 8, which I think was just accumulation of losing some carbs and not really playing with my macros enough, just kind of using the food that I already had as opposed to redoing my food to make sure that I was still eating things that I liked and I wasn't feeling super restricted. Having the gym closed down and then not having a little treat built in to my meal plan, but also not just indulging a little bit to prevent my week 9 nightmare. And then of course there was the cravings on week 5, but it was nothing crazy. It was just like, I just really want those chili dogs now. And then Saturday came, I ate them and I was fine. So other than those 2 instances, I think cravings weren't that big of an issue for me. With water, it was interesting. Beginning, it was kind of hard a little bit, just because the majority of my water for me was better consumed during the day while I was at work, because when I got home I would like cook dinner and then I would most likely just sit and I wouldn't be as conscientious of drinking the water as I am when I'm at work or at the gym. So if I hadn't drinking at least most of it by then, it was whatever I was able to drink during dinner. And then I just wasn't, like, for me, like when I'm home, which is a huge issue I had with my home workouts, is I'm done. Like, there's nothing else I need to do. So I definitely wasn't thinking like, oh, you still have a bit of water left. And then it also got to the point in my first week, in my second week, I think I just really sprained my upper back. And I was a little worried because one of the signs of being too hydrated, when you consume too much water, you can kind of like flush out all the like vitamins and minerals and stuff like that. You don't want to like too much water, and so you don't want to do that. And I just didn't know if I had enough sodium, because my sodium dropped a lot too once I started my cut, not just because I was eating less, but just because I was eating more whole foods, not as many processed foods. So it was an automatic drop in my salt, and then I increased my water. So I didn't know if I just had enough salt in my body to handle all the water, and then I was getting like kind of a cramp, and the cramps are kind of a sign that you're too hydrated. And I just remembered feeling weird. I don't know how to describe it. So I did the second week, I drank like half a gallon. I waited until my back, I think I just sprained it from doing something, and I just waited until I felt better, just in case that was an issue. And once I felt better, then I started drinking a full gallon again at the ending of the second week, and I was fine. So I think I might have just sprained myself, and then it was because someone asked me, oh, you don't think you're like overhydrating because of like the sodium and all that? And I was like, what? I think that just kind of got in my head and worried me when I didn't need to worry about it. So once my back felt better and I felt fine and I started drinking the full gallon, I didn't have any issues. The amount of times you have to pee in the beginning, it's a lot. You have to pee a lot. But as the weeks went on, my body definitely got used to the amount of water. I think there was only 1 week. It was somewhere in the middle, either week 4, 5, 6, one of those, where it was like the whole week, I was not finishing the gallon. I can't remember which week it was. I can't remember why I couldn't finish it either, but I was more forgetful, I wasn't as thirsty, I don't remember. It was only 1 week that I had trouble. Then towards the end, I was like flying through, like I'm leaving the office at like 5, I'm already at the 8 o'clock little time, and then I would have to have like an extra glass at dinner because I would have drinking it all after my workout. So definitely towards the end, and even now I'm going through the water a lot faster, and I can definitely do more than a gallon, and my body definitely adjusted, where at first it was clear for probably the first 5, 6 weeks, and then I started getting into week 7, the little later weeks, and like as the weeks went on, maybe not week 5, but as the weeks went on, my body definitely adjusted to that water intake, and like my pee started getting like, still drinking a gallon, but it got darker. It wasn't just pure water, just clear, nothing after every bathroom trip, so I didn't have to go to the bathroom as much. It was still quite a bit, but I definitely think I went from like 9 times when I was in the office to like 4, maybe 5 when I was in the office. And my body definitely adjusted to it. And the last thing that I want to talk about are my cheats. Not my cheat meals, my cheats. Obviously, we all know about week 9. It wasn't a good week. But there were 3 other times during the cut where I broke, for use of a better word. Do I think I actually cheated? No, I think my only cheat did happen on week 9, in my own opinion. But there were times that I did not follow my meal prep. The reason I don't count it as a cheat is because I stayed within my calories and I stayed within my macros. And what ended up happening was, I think there was 2 times where there was some carbs and there was some fat missing, and definitely some calories missing. So I had some like red velvet cake that I brought home from one of our events when I was still working events, and it was for everyone else, but I ran out of my dinner and I should have been more responsible and picked some up before I had gone into work. It was like a Saturday and I had to work a dance, and earlier in the morning I should have gone and prepped my dinner. I didn't. I looked it up, what are the calories in red velvet cake, and I think it was like 2 ounces would have fit exactly what I needed. So I was like, okay. I ate the cake, and it's not like I was like, oh my god, I want more, I'm gonna eat more, and nothing like that. It was solely like I needed the calories, I needed a little more in each of the macros that it had, so I was fine. And I did that twice. But I made sure that I did not go over my calories, I did not go over my macros. If it only said 2 ounces, I got my scale out and measured 2 ounces, and then the same thing was I ran out of Yasso bars. I did go to Publix trying to get more, they were out. And so they were like these little Ghirardelli squares that again just happened to match pretty closely. I don't think they were exact, but pretty closely with what my Yasso bar would have been. And it wasn't because I was craving, it's not because I wanted to break, it was like, this fits. Alright, that's fine. I don't count this as breaks because I wasn't over my calories, I wasn't over, like, my fat was super high, my carbs were super high, just to fit it in. It wasn't because it was caused from craving, it wasn't caused because I was super hungry, it was calculated, it was controlled. But yeah, those would be the other 3 times where I broke, other than my week 9, and we already talked about my week 9, so we don't need to relive that. I think I've already blocked it out because I don't really remember that. It doesn't count, it never happened. Don't tell anybody. So overall, I'm just really proud of myself. I'm proud of my results. It was a little disappointing initially, just because I knew that my caloric deficit was relatively extreme, definitely a lot higher, because usually I recommend like a 200 to 300 deficit, like make it like doable. And here I'm like almost 600 calorie deficit, and just to barely get about a pound a week type of thing going. It was a little disappointing in the beginning, but because I just have this horrible fear that I've never been able to get that like super flat stomach, and I know like with my genetics, I think I am just genetically predisposed to carry a little more fat. That's just my body type, and so that's always just been a worry that it's never gonna happen for me. And I've gone back and forth so many times since I've started my fitness journey, just saying like, this is never gonna happen, you're never gonna, I don't think it's possible for you. So just the fact that seeing such an extreme deficit with added cardio, with my workouts becoming more intense, that it just, yeah, and then only breaking that 1 week, you know, it was a little disappointing. But if that's the struggle, if my body is predisposed to have more fat and I just have to work harder, then I just need to work harder. And it sucks, and it's a really hard thing for me to accept even today. But if that's my lot in life, I have to accept it. I need to work with it. I need to figure out what works. And you just gotta suck it up and move on and figure it out. You know, you can't have a defeatist attitude. It's like, well, it's obviously not meant to be because it's so much harder, so why even try? It's not gonna get me anywhere in life. That's a horrible outlook to have. So eventually, you know, looking at it now, it's like I was able to go 10 weeks for the first time in a cut successfully and mess up one time technically. Like, I'm proud. I am proud of those results. I'm proud that I stuck with it, I did it, and I'm happy with the results. I'm happy where I'm at now, especially considering I started this whole thing at 142 pounds. I don't know if I ever stated that in the video where I talked about what my cut was gonna look like. But yeah, I started this whole thing in August of 2019 at 142 pounds, and at my cut I got to 123. When I finished cutting with my coach, I was all the way down to 121. I think that was additional 2, maybe 3 weeks, so I think 13 weeks total. I got to 121 pounds, and for the most part, other than the last 2.5 weeks of my cut, the 142 to the 120 whatever I was at before my coach came in, I did that completely by myself. And everything that I've learned in the last couple of months have been by myself, and everything that I've done in the last couple of months has been by myself, and I am extremely proud of that. Is it where I want it to be? No, but it's where I got myself from teaching myself, from staying committed, staying dedicated, and that's good enough for me. That's great for me, and I'm extremely proud of that. So as of right now, I don't really know where my direction is. I am listening to my coach. We're going on a week-by-week basis, and that's where I am right now until I start my 12 weeks. As of right now, I am today's Saturday, so tomorrow Sunday, I am 15 weeks out from my show. So 3 more weeks until I start my 12 week, and that's when it's like, this is it, this is the big leagues. You can't, I'm giving people permission to like slap food out of my hand if they have to, and like slap me. She's like, you can't cheat, you can't break. That's 3 weeks away from now. But, so that is how my cut finished. So if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye!